All right. First off, I apologize for the mic quality. This is the best I can do right now. But let's get right into it. So, if you notice, we have 5.5 seconds until the match begins, and you are over here. And that's okay. That totally happens sometimes, but try to make the most of all the time you can get. And during idle moments, i.e., walking from spawn, start thinking about like where you want to be and what sort of space you want to control. So ideally, in silver, you could probably stand like on top of here and lob some damage kind of easily into the front door. But what works a lot on Genji because of your high mobility, your wall climb, all the other things you can do, off angles are very important and can be very useful and valuable. So yeah, you could kind of stand here with your team, you're close to your Ana and all that, but you can also like stand on top of this thing. And from this angle, you can shoot down into the enemy just to get that extra ult charge. You could come around over onto this rock and do like a more deep, more intense angle. And the best part is you're still pretty close to your team, so it's really easy to retreat back and do all of that. But yeah, my first suggestion would be to think about your setup time and how much value you can get by kind of already being where you want to stand as the match begins. Okay, good disengage. Let's go back to that moment. I like the aggression. When you peek her angle here, and you see that she's, on this high ground, and you just don't really want her being able to easily shoot into your team. So I don't necessarily think this is a bad thing, but just keep in mind when you do positions like this, like what the enemy team can see. So in your mind, you're kind of popping up here and you're just looking directly at this Shion and contesting her, right? But think about who can see you when you show your body, when you show your hitbox to the enemy. You have a long range character back here who can shoot at you. You have like a Lucio, you're completely visible to them, the Kiriko in the distance, and even if you don't see him yet, there's a Maga kind of doing some interesting pathing. I like it. Is his hair like I don't know what's going on. Um, but when he rounds this corner, like, yes, he has, access to seeing the rest of your team, but there's a possibility he could shoot at you just simply because you're the closest thing to him in this exact moment. Um, so just keep in mind, like, this can be part of the reason why when you think you're fighting a 1v1, you're contesting one person, if you don't have an idea of what's happening on the entire battlefield, it can feel like you just explode, right? Like you just disappear. When really, like, you might be thinking I'm 1v1ing, but the enemy team could be thinking, okay, this guy is like 1v5 at this point because everybody can look at you. So just be aware of little things like that. In silver, you're not going to get punished so much for it. But once people kind of learn to acquire targets quicker and aim better, like little peaks like this, going this high into the air, can kind of mess you up. I like it. Good pick. Okay, if they're giving you this space, take it. That's fine. You had your cooldowns there. You knew you could escape easy. You're so close to team. And doing little things like that. Now, let me just go back a little tiny bit. So doing things like this is value, right? Now, you can strengthen your value by doing, I'll show you maybe another position you could take. But when you contest this ground right here, which in their minds they're like, man, this should be ours, right? Like they should be the ones standing here. You're saying, oh, well, you've given it up for free. So now you're shooting down kind of like into their team. You're going to take the attention of this Ash. The Lucio might even turn and start, lobbing shots into you. These people are going to be more oblivious because the sight line's lower. But this is how you split the attention of a team, right? So maybe instead of this Ash sitting here for free, and just lobbing damage into your tank while everybody else is doing the same, now that damage is being like changed to focus on you instead of on a target that maybe a bunch of other people are shooting at. So that itself is value. You are taking the value of their attention, right? Like focus fire is so dangerous in this game, and if you can basically trick people to split that focus, you're doing a good job. Team's starting to die here. Okay, now your whole team is dead. Okay, good escape. I would have liked to see a retreat a little sooner. And by retreat, I don't necessarily mean like stop doing things entirely, but put yourself in a safer position. So if we go back a little bit, you start hearing the death sounds. Like you guys are holding okay. Um, I like that you're holding against the building here. It's kind of a safe place, but now you've lost a DPS, you've lost a support. You do focus the Kiri, which is fine, but now you're down 3, and the Kiri is leading you into their team. There is no reason if you're down 3, about to be down 4, so you're the only person left alive. There's no reason to continue further into their team here, right? So, like, how much help, how much assistance do you got in this moment? No one. Everybody's dead. So at this point, as you round the corner, you should kind of be a little more aware of what's going on with the team. I'm not saying don't do damage entirely, but value at this point would be stopping the payload from moving forward, wasting time. But if you're too far away from that, and you're not willing to basically throw your life away just for like 1 second of stopping the payload, at this point I would be like retreating up here, taking a safer position. You might hear this call out sometimes, but when people say play slow, what they mean is don't be aggressive like this. Don't push into their enemy team. You might have lost 2 people or something, and they say play slow. That means pull back a little bit, go back into a poking phase, not a diving phase, right? You want to dive the Kiri, but she's slowly leading you to your own death. So back up, kind of use the corner, wait a little bit, poke at what you can, try to do some long range damage, but value your life in this moment so your team can have a stronger contest before the payload gets much closer, right? But you do get out, which is great. A little lucky, higher elo, they would have popped your head, and you might not have survived that. Okay, where do you want to go and where do you want to be? I like that you're taking a side angle. So you're having them look, trying to have them look more at you more so than your Orisa. Good dive. Very good deflect. Very nice. The risky thing, I did see that dash. That's okay. It happens to all of us. The risky thing about that dive is you weren't entirely sure what that Ash's cooldowns were to begin with. So sometimes when they use that coach gun to knock you back, she could land that shot on your head, right? You just happen to have your deflect. And, oh, I see the struggle here. It's okay. We all panic when someone's low like that. So I wouldn't worry about it too much, but try very hard to be more aware of your positioning. So you're very out in the open. You had nowhere to escape to because you were hungry to try to finish that kill. Let's get back to it. So here you don't want to like dive really, really deep. This is a timing thing. You know that your team's kind of just now getting into position. You'd have no support. But now you can see from that glance that your Orisa is engaging with the Maga, right? And you knew that from this little glimpse over here. See that? And then about to round the corner. So at that point, like, you don't have to decide, like, at this point, you don't have to wait for your team so much. Like, they're already about to engage. You want to kind of already be engaging and poking and finding that angle and making these people look at you instead of over here at your Orisa. If you can have the Ash, maybe someone down on cart, like worried and afraid that you're peeking this angle, you have a support maybe who's not in range or not really looking at their tank healing the front line because they're so worried about you. That's a great thing. You can go ahead and just do little pokes like that. And just, it's okay if they're aware that you're there. You're causing them stress because they don't want you to be standing here. A big part of good positioning is finding a place that you can survive, you can escape from, you can have a wall to keep you safe, but also you want to be threatening. You want people to see you standing in a location and them to think, oh my God, I don't want this Genji here, right? So this is a good positioning for that. There's no need to hesitate on taking advantage of that positioning. Like if you peek and you get like headshot or something, you lose half health, you lose some HP, and you're like, oh God, maybe I shouldn't peek at it again. Totally fine. That's fine. You can just, walk away, step back down to the mega, maybe see if a support is available to help you out. But it's okay to challenge a position and wait for them to push you out of that position. If they're not pushing you, then just be there, right? Like they're giving it to you for free. Be a nuisance for free. So you dive the Ash, and the only problem here is you're engaging with your dash before figuring out whether or not she has a movement ability available to her, right? So in an ideal world, you'd be doing these dives when they don't have a way to get, away from you. I like this. It's cheeky. It's forcing. I see that's very valuable because it's forcing attention on you instead of attention being able to blindly go into front line. So you're actually helping your tank when you take these sorts of angles because you're claiming space. You're taking a lane that the enemy doesn't want you to be in, right? See, and now they're looking ahead at your tank. They're stressed out about you being there. This Kiri had you being there forced the Kiri to decide between attacking you and saving themselves or healing the Manga who was oblivious to your presence, right? That is how you tear a team apart. Okay, so there's a tricky little thing you can do with positioning here. And I don't think you'd really be punished for it in Silver. Eventually, maybe if they do like a stun character. So if you're getting pushed up on in this location, you see, oh god, the tank is actually taking this position. You don't really want to be in front of the tank for too long. So what you end up doing, let's just play it for, oh, whoops, play it for a second. Right, so you see them coming out, and you're like, oh, fuck no, I do not want to deal with that. So this is, I'm assuming mid deflect, you're kind of already thinking about your escape route, and that ends up being like over here with the dash. But what actually happens, and I don't know if you get punished for it yet, we'll see. When your escape route is still within their sight lines, it's not really the safest escape route. So something you could do is use the low ground as your cover. If people are on high ground like this and say they see you and they're like, oh, this Genji, we don't want him here. If they all coalesce to this area and start shooting at you, like you'll probably be dead before you can get anywhere safe because you just dashed into the open. What you can do is drop and just go down here, right? And now you're like a threatening presence. If they drop, they have to turn their backs to get to you. It's a little risky simply because of the positioning of your tank, but imagine your tank sees them drop and they turn their backs on it, right? So here, if you have your dash, say you drop, you don't use it to disengage, you drop here to maintain this sort of threatening positioning. And if they challenge you on this, if you don't get like control of the mega, they're being really, mad that you're standing over here, then that's when you can use dash to maybe disengage over in this direction, right? You can use this to hug a corner. You can start sidling around behind. You could probably even receive support from a support player by peeking them at some angle. But just consider different places that you can actually hold positions. Um, a lot of the time, and I know it can be like spooky, but especially in metal elos, they'll basically allow some crazy aggressive positions because they either just, don't want to deal with you or they don't really know how to catch you and like catch you out from these positions, right? So just an idea. Okay, first blade. All right, good job dashing after you got booped. That was helpful. All right. At that point, my question would be, why not grab the mega real quick? before if you're planning to engage with the point. So here's a decision making. So that death occurred because of decision making. So let's just kind of go through it. So you do a blade. You notice. Let's go back a tiny bit more. You notice in the kill feed that's a pretty confusing kill feed, but you do have a lot of red on the left side. So you're probably thinking, okay, you can read the little gauge on the top too to see how many people are pushing cart, and you're 30 HP. So I understand waiting to get your health back. I do. But based on the battlefield, what's happening? Are you aware of how many teammates you have available? Is this a winnable fight? You can hit tab to see, if any teammates have ults available. You think Anna would? Well, they don't have their ult for you, but uh, if you thought the Anna was in a survivable position, you could maybe try to pressure cart and just waste their time a little bit because it is at this point 2v3. But because of your health, because of your positioning way back here, and because of just the character that's contesting your Anna's positioning over here, you can pretty much predict that the Anna's going to die really soon. So based on that prediction and your current HP, which is half, what do you decide to do? Like at this point, especially when you have some idle time waiting, you should be thinking, what's my plan? Where do I want to go? Where do I want to be? What am I trying to do? You could, if you wanted, just kind of suicide on cart, knowing that your Anna's going to die, knowing that you're going to die, but you can just waste their time for a second or two and then regroup back with your team via death quicker. Or if you don't want to do that, then at half HP, you might not want to engage cart. You might not know what cooldowns are available to these characters. You have a whole ass Mog over there to deal with. I personally, at half HP and seeing the state of the team, I would have continued kind of along this positioning. Maybe grab the Mega, maybe just, let the self healing do its thing, and then take a little position to high ground here, and I would have waited it out. I would have maybe tried to antagonize poke a little bit, but never up forward like this. Poke enough to where you backing up is your cover, right? So you can poke for ult charge. Ult was just used. You want to immediately try to be farming ult charge again. So you just poke a little bit. You're waiting for your team. You know they're probably not going to pursue because they feel they have control of the cart. But you're just keeping the value of your life at this moment. Gaining ult charge and just valuing your life while you wait for the team to group up. But instead, we go for a contest. And I think just before you make decisions like that, just take a second to breathe and really think about, like, what are you trying to accomplish with the next thing that you plan to do? Yeah, good long range poke. Oh, nice job. And I say nice job there because, well, I'm not 100% sure. Let's have a look and see. But it looked like she got a little panicked that you were so close to her when she did her bike. So she messed up her aim a little bit. I'm thinking because you're in her face. She's unsure, like she turns it to the right, kind of towards you, instead of the easy shot, which would have been right here in the middle of the team, which would have given her a ton of ult charge, a lot of damage onto your team. Your presence, just existing near her and contesting this space that she's trying to take, literally saved your team a motorcycle's worth of damage just lobbed into them for free. So that's value. These little motions, these little things that you do when we're talking about positioning and finding value, you've wasted an enemy's cooldown. That's valuable, right? Like pat yourself on the back. It's the hard, invisible work of Overwatch, but these little details can be the reason why your team wins a fight, and nobody really knows why. They might not be thinking in terms of, oh, our Genji forced Kiri to use Suzu at an inopportune time. Our Genji forced Xion to throw her motorcycle at a dumb place. Like, your team might not ever know that, but that could be the reason you win these fights to begin with, right? Okay, both your supports are down. Have you noticed? What do you want to do now? Okay, doing a dive. All right. So again, that's a decision-making issue that got you killed there. So listen to the sound cues and then make a decision on what you would like to do in that moment, right? So doing some good bit, but okay, your supports are down now and you're aware of it. And you even turn and you look and see the manga. So at this point, what do you want to do? What is the goal here? Now, I personally think it's viable to maybe want to contest cart if there are enemies pushing the cart. But they've kind of come around behind. They're trying to take the fight first and then go towards cart. So you being here actually doesn't do anything. There's no value when they're not contesting this space to begin with, right? So you could choose to retreat back a little bit and start playing slow, poking from distance. You don't have any healing available to you. Now, you do choose to contest the Shion here, and I'm not mad about that. Uh, I see the vision. I see, like, okay, well, if the Mog is trapped in his own little think cage over there, the tank's dealing with it how they can. If you can get this cheeky little pick, then maybe by the time your supports, respawn, you can have a good little fight there. Plus, if you dash into this room, you can break LOS to the Maga, and you have access to a Mega Health Pack if you can play it smart. But I will say that getting this pick isn't necessarily going to win the fight based on what's happening over here. So it's a kind of risky decision you make, not mad about it, but think about the reward value. Would killing this Shion mean that your team can now win the fight and they absolutely won't ever push card? Right? So even if you do accomplish your goal, how much worth does that give to the fight happening in the moment, right? So start thinking about little things like that. And that's okay, you got caught out because your tank died. No big deal. But that could have been prevented by some different decision making more earlier. Got a Suzu come out, a good pick, very good. Okay, you see they're low, that was great, incredibly valuable. Alright, so I'm just going to talk about it for half a second. This death could have been prevented by positioning elsewhere. So down there Shion, down there Kiriko, that's fantastic. At this point, panic happens. So you use your dash. Let's see who the target of the dash was. So you use your movement ability, the one thing that can help you escape, um, to try to dive onto someone basically full HP. I believe the decision was to dive onto, let's have a look. See your pick, very good. You get the Curie. Forward on that one. Yeah. Now, next target. Let's see where your crosshairs aiming. It looks like you want the Mei because they're the counter. What we've done is accidentally approach a Mei who you don't know her cooldowns right now. If she has Ice Block, does she have Wall? Right? So you've used 2 of your cooldowns before, as far as we know, she's used even 1 of hers. So that makes it a disadvantageous fight. What you want to do, especially with counters who, like a Mei, just has to M1 you and she's constantly ticking up damage, she doesn't really have to aim. You want to make it disadvantageous for them, for that person. So ideally, you would have maybe taken a step back after killing the Kiriko and thought, okay, where do I need to stand? Where do I need to be? And kind of reassessed who you wanted your target to be. Here, because there's a lot of colors and sounds and lights and stuff and all these things flashing across the screen, it gets so overwhelming, right? In the middle of feeling overwhelmed, everyone gets this, don't worry about it. But there's that kind of panicky feeling that can really affect aim and make it hard to hit those easy shots. So I get that you now see the Maga's health and you see that the Orisa is focusing on that Maga. He's so low and you really want him, and then we die. And that's mostly because, like, imagine taking a step back, maybe retreating up to the high ground so you can poke from a more of a distance or kind of wait for these characters as you're poking, let the Orisa deal. Like, let the Orisa deal with all of that stuff happening on the ground and remove yourself from the midst of the fight if you are not the one who decided the engagement there, right? So, as Genji, one very valuable thing, one successful thing you can do is observe a fight and do some long range poke and wait for the opportunity to get a kill to start an engagement on your terms. Um, and a lot of the time that can be like maybe you notice someone used a cooldown. And so that you realize, okay, if I see Kiri has used her jump cooldown, then I know if I dive her, she can't just jump away. So now you have the advantage in that fight, right? This, I paused here because I just want to have a quick look. Um, let's see. Yeah, the only one out here is your Orisa. She's doing the contesting for you. And I'm hoping what you do is take an angle and poke from distance and let the Orisa contest. The cart isn't as close as you think it is, and the longer you can wait in safety and cover and take as little damage as possible, the sooner the rest of your team, your supports included, will be able to get out here and actually help you when it comes time for you to contest. But I think what happens is people tend to panic, they don't trust their teammates, and even though your Orisa is here ready to contest cart, I'm thinking you might press W and also try to contest cart. When really, I think the most useful thing you can do for your Orisa is either stay safe, knowing she's going to die, right? And waiting out your time until you absolutely have to contest cart. Or if you have time, taking a more intense off angle to really annoy them. So it'd be risky because of the health of your Orisa, but imagine if you kind of moved over into this direction and you're kind of standing over here. You have this mini if you need it, poking at the supports, poking at this angle. Well, these people who are staring at your Orisa, if you're poking them from this room and they turn to try to deal with you, well, they can't shoot your Orisa anymore, right? They can't do both at the same time. They are now making themselves vulnerable to your tank. So by taking an off angle that's maybe even deeper than you find comfortable, see, it's a smart move though because you have cover from the walls, you have health if you need it, and I'm pretty sure you still have your dash. So if you're really, really pushed, you can just, dash away, maybe circle around here. You can dash through the window, but you can take this angle while surviving it, right? Um, Approaching them from the side, even from the back, even from behind, maybe from up here or something, this doesn't mean you're out of the fight. Like these sorts of angles are not like backline Genji dying 20 times a game. You're still playing it smart. You're forcing their attention in another direction from lobbing damage onto your tank. Doing things like this is incredibly valuable simply because you are taking the resource of their attention and you're forcing it on you, which, even though your team will never know this and it's not a stat that's tracked, but in a way it's mitigating damage. You're taking space and you're forcing them to shoot at you. Well, you're harder to hit. You're peeking the angle, right? You're using the wall. You're annoying the hell out of them because your projectile, you can poke and immediately find cover. Poke and find cover. All the while, the Orisa is no longer being shot at by whoever is distracted by you, right? So let's see how this goes. So you do press W here. And you're wanting to contest, but really you didn't need to put yourself in that position, right? And that's unfortunate. I did hear that your Juno was trying to heal you there, so they had just gotten back. But yeah, next time, so that death can be prevented. Maybe not completely prevented, because you likely would have died contesting cart. But there's a possibility you could have contested cart at a more opportune time, waiting as long as possible for your team and your supports to respawn and get in a position where they can keep you up for as long as possible. All right, where do you want to go and where do you want to be? What space do you want to claim as your own? So you cleared a Kiri, good idea. I think that was very valuable what you did there. You scared her away. and you said you can't stand here and take pot shots into my team. So now where do you want to be? Start repositioning with urgency. So that's okay. I would be totally fine with that sort of escape. But let's go back and see why you were driven out quickly. So when you're pressured from a position, it's totally fine to leave that position as long as that pressure is enough to kill you, right? As long as you think, okay, well, I'm kind of out in the open. This person turned, they're not shooting at me. The whole team over here can see me. They're looking at me. In fact, you, in some instances, you might be one of the only people they see. So one thing you can do, what I love about Junkertown, is you can actually wall climb up here and slide quietly on this roof. So each wall climb, you can do a little sliding motion, you hold W and it slides you over the roof. And you can pop out with your feet landing right here and not use a single cooldown to do it, right? So this positioning could put you in a better location. You're closer to the Shion, right? You can really put a lot of pressure, so she's freaking out. And you're pretty hidden from the enemy team. Like you're taking on an isolated target. Instead, this positioning, rounding the corner, walking out in the open, think of all the people who can see you and who can shoot at you. So one big thing I like to do in terms of positioning is I love finding cheeky angles and I like coming from unexpected places. So, for instance, you could climb over here and lob some damage into the supports. If you force this Maga to turn and look at you, again, you're taking such an intense off angle and being a nuisance over here that, like, anytime his crosshair isn't facing your team, but facing a different direction, you're providing value for your team simply by existing in that area, right? You don't have to get the kill, you don't have to get the pick, but being a nuisance, making them turn to look at you, making them stop healing, for instance, to just try to deal with you, that could mean that this guy dies, right? Because he's not getting healed. If you're being a nuisance while your team is aggressively pushing up. Now, if your whole team's dead and they're sitting in spawn and you jump over here and you start poking around, well, they have nothing else hurting them. They have nothing else to look at. So, of course, everybody would turn and look at you, right? So it's a bit of timing and it's a bit of positioning. Um, but yeah, just try to focus on who can see you where you are right now. And does it matter if those particular people can see you? If you choose to dive the Shion, that's fine if she sees you, right? Like, it's fine if you hop here and she turns around and sees you. Like, yeah, you're engaging. That's totally cool. But you probably don't want to take random chip damage from all these people and be missing, like, critical 50 HP even by the time you engage with someone. Right. So you get pressured, you're forced out a little sooner than maybe you wanted to be. Now you're taking another angle, which is totally great. So again, in your positioning, think of your angles, right? If you're taking the exact same angle as your team, then that's and unless doing that is getting you an intense amount of picks, then you're not providing a lot of value for the team simply because, well, the enemy doesn't have to turn their necks to look anywhere else. They can just blindly look straight forward and get the picks that they want, right? Where do you want to go and where do you want to be? This is great. I love that you're pushing up here. I love that you're pressuring. Okay, that was really good. One thing you can do in a situation like that was great. Nothing against that. But a really nice Genji combo, right? So you deflect into the body, and you can immediately see that her health is less than half HP because you were damage boosted during that deflect. In a situation like this, you can cancel your deflect not by hitting E, but by just shifting. So if you use your dash basically onto her feet and you turn around and you punch her, she's dead. Like she's popped in an instant and would never understand why. But you can up your time to kill with little things like that. So if you're more comfortable with your combo and more comfortable with canceling your deflect quicker, then just recognize that she's very low HP and think like, okay, I'm damage boosted. How much damage can I do? Like burst damage? What combo do I need to do to get the burst damage required to finish off however much HP you see in front of your eyes in that moment, right? So you do good here, but I would have loved to see like a quick dash and a 180 punch on her. I do like you are that you are contesting this. Oh, holy lag! I see that. And that you're contesting this space here. So you're antagonizing them. You're telling them you can't stand here for free. Good pick. A little risky using dash, but totally fine. And because like this is so valuable, not necessarily because of the picks. The picks are great, but what you did was valuable because it basically let your team stand on cart, and you dealt with so many people for them, right? You were a distraction. They couldn't just run straight onto point there and try to contest. They were dealing with you. Okay, so your tank's down. The fight happened while you were deciding where you wanted to be. So let's go back a little bit more. You can see that your tank is pushing up, right? I love that you take this angle. This is fantastic. And in this moment, you can see your tank is pushing up, rounding that corner. If you continue forward into this spot, yes, you have the high ground. That's a good thing. It forces them to look up a little bit. But they're still essentially just also looking at your Orisa, right? Again, what sight lines are you controlling, right? What space are you taking that someone else on your team isn't already taking, right? Your Orisa is going to be able to control the sight line. She's a spooky tank. People want to look at her. High ground, not a bad idea. Not knocking it or anything. But what would happen if, as your tank is rounding this corner, you have one person pushing cart? I would have wished for your Juno to kind of leave cart for a second just to support the tank because they're getting very aggressive. What I like to do when I see my tank in a position like here, I like to position myself kind of at an angle adjacent to my tank. I'm thinking about the sight line that someone is forced to choose to look at me and how different that is from the sight line of my tank. And if I can force someone to look at me in another direction, then I'm taking pressure off of my tank. It's something I've been doing a little more recently and I found incredibly successful, is just looking at my tank and saying, you know what, I'm actually going to go deeper than you. Like, I know you think you're being aggressive over here, Arissa. You're like, all right, well, it's around the corner. Let's go all the way over here. You think that's aggressive? No, 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 no. I'm going to be aggressive. I'm going to be over here, annoying the hell out of them from distance, taking my cover behind the sign, having quick access either back to my support or maybe the mega over here. But I'm going to be the aggressive player, right? Just standing and taking a position, watch your step, is valuable. And I think, especially like DPS players, think that the only value they provide to a team is their ability to get a pick. But I can tell you right now, well, why? Why do we want to kill an enemy hero? Right? Take this positioning. We're going to just let this play for a second. The reason we get a pick is we want to send them to spawn, so they can't use their abilities to heal their teammates, and they can't use their abilities to shoot at your team. But if they're looking at you anyways, and they're using those abilities on you, and you're surviving them, and you're just unbothered, kind of just annoying them from different angles, they might as well be in spawn, right? If you're annoying a support, they turn around to deal with you, and they're not healing the tank, they're not providing value. Okay? Now, you know that... Oh, there we go. Very nice. I'll accept it. Very good. So I actually want to see more blades like that, to be entirely honest. You maybe could have timed it, waited out the Baptiste immortality field, but to use a blade to get an important pick, there's nothing wrong with that. Where do you want to be? Yes, thank you. You don't want to... I'm going to go back a little bit. You don't want to stand frontlining like this for too long because, again, what other angle are you taking? How are you distressing their team at a different angle? Ooh, are you going to do it? Oh, no, you didn't. I was hoping you'd go back around to that sign and just basically get behind them and be a nuisance. You retreat back to the team. Totally fine, because you get HP there. I'm dying. It's like you keep looking at it. I swear. It's like you keep looking at that positioning over here. Like, man, do I want to go there? Right? I'm just like, I'm waiting for you to continue on. I'm waiting for you to be like, oh, you know what? You know what? I'm just going to go way over here. I'm going to go way over here. And I'm going to lob damage into them. And I'm going to force this less than half HP Maga to choose between this or this. Right? All right. So the death can have been prevented here because of that dash. And let's go back because I know things like that don't happen in a vacuum. You didn't just blindly dash them. Okay, yeah, so it's the Sojourn. You see that they're very low, and you know, hey, if I can get the kill on this person and they're super low, then you can get your dash reset, you can get out, right? Okay, at that point you have your dash reset. So you decide, you know what, I'm going to take this positioning. The Mog is not looking at you. I'm not mad at this. I think this is actually a good play. And you are contesting those supports. You're saying, hey, look at me instead. If you don't look at me, I'm going to kill you, right? Suzu's out. That's great. Now, do you realize that there's a window happening? So if the manga did actually pay attention, turn around and start shooting at you, you would be dead so fast because of that window. You also have two supports standing in the middle of a Kiri ult, which means they shoot faster, they reload faster, all their cooldowns are faster. That's very, very, very high risk. You've already gotten the reward of your Sojourn. You have your dash reset, you have both cooldown abilities. What do you want to do in this moment? Okay, so now we're going to look again. Now they've all noticed you. So at this point, okay, Genji, I heard your sounds. At this point, Mog is looking at you. The Kiri is inside the Maga looking at you. The Mei is hard W into your ass. That's insane. And the Baptiste. This is insanely valuable, but only if you live. You have taken the attention of this entire team, what they have here. They're not even using this back window. You have a support. You have a Mercy just standing in front of this window like it's a bright sunny day and they could never die, right? But instead of the team shooting at this Mercy, they're shooting at you. And that's because of your positioning. That is a great job. You are now half HP. You've used one of your cooldowns. What is the next step, right? So you go to dash away, and it just takes a little bit of time. This is something, let me just go back here. It was definitely a timing issue. I know that in your heart, what you want to do is do the distraction, do a little damage, and then dash away. But even in dashing away in this direction, like, hopefully you land up here. Hopefully your dash isn't to kind of just randomly try to swoop around back to your team because, again, the window, and they can just easily turn and look at you. One thing you could have done is, as soon as the Sojourn was killed, play more of an angle with the boxes, right? And give yourself that little tiny bit of cover. This is just a couple steps, but you can play that angle here and do a little shooting, and then even dash back up here, right? Like, who's really going to follow you? The Mei could with a wall if she has that available, but she'd really be hunting your ass, and you'd really be taking Mei pressure off of your tank and your team that's trying to push up here. So mostly this was just a timing issue. But think about even when you're in these positions and it feels really spooky, there's a difference between you're not safe and yeah, you're totally safe, right? Like no one's gonna bother you. It's no big deal. You have all your cooldowns. You could even dash over here into the mega if you wanted, right? So this is totally fine. Couple steps to the right, less fine, right? Where do you want to go and where do you want to be? What angle do you want to control? This is not bad. I like this. You see the space that you just made. See the value that you just created by existing over here, right? So we're going to play it a little bit. And right now, your team's grouping up. They're coming back. This is good. And they have such control of the high ground. They can just shoot down into your team. Same over here. They can just shoot down into your team. And then you peek. And look what happens to the three people they're positioning over here. You peek, right? We're going to pull back a little more. Wow, they backed up even more than I thought. So May's kind of holding her positioning, but she's backing up a little bit. Look at how much space you have created by existing way over here, right? You took an angle, and now instead of standing here and lobbing damage here into your tank, these people have pushed back. They can't even shoot at your Orisa. They can't even do anything about her pressing W. And why is that? That's because you're standing right over here, and they're freaked out about you. This, what you've done, just by choosing to stand at this angle, has been incredibly valuable. So, where do you choose to go next? Okay, you forced IF, totally fine. Good disengage. Forced her to use a cooldown as well. So all those things that you did, even though you didn't get pick, and even though it doesn't feel like you're doing a lot, those angles are valuable. I'm going to see what happens here. All right, let's look. We're going to analyze the deaths. Let's see. So what compelled you, first and foremost? I'm seeing a half HP Baptiste. That looks juicy. It's compelling. Okay, so you're probably like slamming down on your L shift right now, like get me out of this ult. So at this point, the thought isn't where am I going to be? It's just get me out of the ult. I know it's stressful and it's very frightening, but you're going to get your cooldown. You see that it's at 1 second. You're going to get it in time. So go ahead and aim your crosshair where you want to be. Right? It could have been high ground. It can even be exactly where you chose to go, which is through these people up here. I see a half HP someone, right? Okay. There's a little bit of panic here. They don't quite notice you yet because they're staring, trying to get value out of this May ult. What you've done... Oh, and you pulled out Susie, which is great. And now you want to focus the Curie. Okay, but you've changed your mind. So you died due to indecision here. At this moment, you should be thinking, where would you like to position and what is your goal? If it is simply survival, like get me out of the ult, then when you're here, dash up here. Again, I keep talking about this spot, but it's actually a pretty good one, right? So just dash up here. This is more of a disengage, but not taking you away from the fight, just taking you away from a dive. Dive is you're in their face, right? You're literally like jumping on top of them, trying to right click their heads. You're all up in their business. Disengage puts you more into a poke, like a poke from a distance phase. But that's okay, because poke doesn't mean that you're just standing there doing nothing. It means you are playing mind games. You're forcing them to look at you based on like to take all these different angles, right? Like if they have to turn around and shoot at you up here, obviously the male isn't really having a lot of value simply because you distracted them, right? It's also a way, like poke phase is a way for you to observe the battlefield, think about who you want to target. Even though this person's low, they're getting double support pocket, right? So they're not really the best target. The Kiri, unsure of their cooldowns in this exact moment. We know they use Suzu later, but the Baptiste is probably the best target in this moment simply because the Kiri, if you shot at that Baptiste, in no world does she know he's taking damage other than by sound cue, right? And if she's focused on healing this person, she's not looking to the right. You feel me? So quicker decision making can help here. I would have dashed up here and kind of taken a second to get my wits back together and see what's happening and be poking a little bit. But you cleave through, which is fine. You do some more damage on the bat. But ideally, if you're going to cleave through them, you're going to want to pick a target. Like you can't shoot at all of them at once. And the target probably would have been Baptiste. So once you do dash through, you kind of lose track of the bat, and then your target changes to the Kiri, who's almost full HP, and then you immediately change your mind and that's when you get hunted down. So a little bit sooner, try to, if you're not sure what your plan is yet, disengage somewhere safe and spend a couple seconds thinking about what your plan's going to be, right? So overall, really good job. I would just say start asking yourself, when you take a location, right, when you claim a space, how many enemies can see you, what cover do you have to keep yourself safe. Remember, a wall has infinite HP, it's never going to break. What health packs are nearby, or what is the quickest path back to your supports if you trust them to heal you quickly, right? If you trust that they're looking at you. Um, Go deeper. Take those off angles that kind of frighten you. It is not suicide, it is not being a bad player. You can get behind the enemy in a safe way. And if you time it in conjunction with your front line pushing in, then that's basically a pincer move. And you're forcing attention on yourself. And if the attention doesn't turn to you, now that gives you an opportunity to poke at people to like half HP and then do a dive, right? You can watch what cooldowns they're using, not on yourself, and take advantage of that. Or from your positioning, you can force people to look at you and force people to waste their cooldowns on you instead of your team. And those are game winning ideas that are not tracked based on stats. They're not tracked in an easy to see way. It really is the invisible work of Overwatch, doing these little things to force cooldowns, to force attention, to distract people. Basically, it's thankless work. And especially in Silver, your team is not going to understand why they're winning fights when you do this. But this invisible work is going to win you more games. Yeah, so this spot is a little tricky of a climb. I say you try to climb up kind of here and you bumped your head and fell down, and then you ended up dashing upwards and kind of blading immediately. That's when the bat did his lamp and all that stuff. One thing you can do, you don't have to use cooldowns. If you want to like use this to get up there quickly, you can kind of just like do a ledge climb, right? So you can climb up. And if you just do the wall climb, obviously it doesn't work. But if you do this and then just kind of double jump, right? Double jump is the next step. Let it swing you outwards and double jump, press W just a little bit, right? And if you hold space at the double jump, you're going to do a ledge climb. And it's going to grab this ledge and pull you up onto the high ground. So that's just like an easier way to get up here. For defense positioning, there are a couple different spots you can take. So my first suggestion was just, cheeky over here. You can like lob damage. You're in the same sightline as your team. That's fine from the beginning of a defense point like this. You can also just immediately be incredibly annoying to the enemy. You can stand on this fence, by the way. Double jump, do a little wall climb, get up here. I'm pretty sure you can do it opposite too. So you can do a little wall climb, double jump. Yeah. And this is just, it's pretty good cover. You might take some chip damage, but see, you can still hide your body just a little bit by like crouching, moving over here. You can also attack from this angle. It's a little bit deeper, right? And it's more of an intense angle from the team. But if you're over here, they're not shooting down into your team. They're like shooting off in the distance towards you. There's also some very extreme things you can do. There's a tiny little spot in this corner, and I've seen people who just like they'll emote so no one can really see you, but you can see very closely like who's coming out. There's not a ton of value in this positioning unless you think like maybe there's going to be, um, I don't know, like a widow, and you feel like you need to just to be a little bit closer. But I'd say the rock or the silo here are decent off-angle positions. Another thing you can do, instead of climbing up here, contesting, taking that space, and everybody can see you, right? If you want to contest that space, try to think of other places you can approach, right? So you could take this roof, do a little jump, and a little shoot, right? Like, jump a little bit, shoot into them, just make them be like, what is happening? Who's shooting at me, right? And also, if you notice that they're low, it's a pretty quick engage onto them and a pretty quick drop back to team. There's also one little tiny thing you can do, which is stand on this metal beam here. So if you crouch, right, then you're not in head height. I'm pretty sure no one can shoot your head. I've never been killed in this position. But you can just like take a very close position and listen to someone walking up those stairs and then do like a quick jump out, right? Because there's no sound of footsteps of you approaching this. Your footsteps can warn them, oh, again, she's approaching. But if you're just cheekily hiding, kind of waiting, then they have no clue you're here right now, right? for attack, the other position I was talking about, this can be fun. If you just climb up here, you can wait. You use your WASD to kind of control the movement a little bit, and then when it's time to attack, you just hop over here, and that's where the Shion is standing. Okay, so I wanted to show you a couple of like Genji tricks that I'm not sure if you know them already, and they're really tiny, but they can be helpful, right? So one is sticking yourself to the ground when you climb um, up a ledge, right? So let's find a good spot. So let's say I want to climb this wall and I want to go to the top, right? You climb, you let go of space, and you kind of launch forward. That was letting go of space. That's me coming up here. I'm still kind of holding W. I let go of space. I'm moved forward so I get more distance. What you can also do is hold on to space as you crest the ledge. If you hold on to space, that was weird. If you hold on to space, a little buggy, that's fine. But you see how it doesn't launch me in an arch anymore? It just like stickies me straight to the ground. Like, I'm here. This is a tiny detail, but it's useful if you're up against hit scan. You don't want to be flying through the air. You don't want to be double jumping so much. You don't want to be predictable. So the quicker you can get your feet straight onto the ground and immediately start strafing, the better, right? One other thing I want to talk about, because I didn't really see you doing it in game, correct me if I'm wrong, but if you are strafing and you want to hit some shots, long range and what have you, right? If I move right, I'm slowly moving my mouse left. If I move left, I'm slowly moving my mouse right. And that helps me keep my crosshair on the head for as much as possible, right? So as you're strafing, as you're doing your long range, you're kind of letting your own body movement assist your aim. Same thing happens with a double jump. I find it easier to aim, right, as I'm falling down. Yeah, it's a little harder if I jump once and I start shooting at the second jump there. It's a little bit hard to land those shots. I'm having to sort of drag my mouse downwards. The concept is using your body to help you aim. Another thing that you can do is the crouch. So I know my crosshair is kind of small, but if I'm strafing across the screen, how fast that goes across the body, and then if I crouch, see how much slower that is? So sometimes you can use your crouch, right, to like slow down your aim. You're strafing, and then you're strafing, and then you, right, like it just slows everything down a little bit. Genji is a character that feels really fast, but he's very effective if you slow your own mind down and just kind of take a breath, come up with a little bit of a plan before you do like an attack or a dive or anything like that, right? All right. So overall, really good job. And I hope this helped out a little bit. The positioning wasn't bad. The biggest thing that I noticed was maybe a sense of fear or a feeling like I'm going too deep. You really can't go too deep in your elo right now. You'll know you're going too deep when you get punished for it. But if you're not getting punished for it, then take all the space that they give you for free, right? Yeah, good job. GG's.